widowed within 2-3 years. But there are some men who are really determined to bring up their children alone. And we have seen the fathers who have stood for their children, knowing that even if they marry. Some of them actually do not even marry. They take care of the children until the end. How do we look at those people in terms of policy development? For IEBC, we have a proper inclusion policy to really ensure that people who are outside the norm, like the widows and the widowers, are included in the process. We have also reduced nomination fees for women. If for an MNC is 5,000, for a woman is 2,500. For an MP, instead of 10,000, a woman will pay 5,000. For governor, the same. So if it's 250, a woman will pay 125. So we have reduced the fees to cater for all those categories. Also, the issue of party list nomination that are coming from political parties, that's another area that widows and widowers can look into. Party list, because through party list, we have affirmative action and nomination of the marginalized groups into the parliament or national assembly or senate, or also in the county assembly board in terms of the gender top-up list. I think the advocacy should be that widows and widowers should be recognized as part of the special interest groups that can be nominated and through the party list. Then we also have the Code of Conduct Enforcement Committee that ensure that any violence committed around any candidate, we are very able to deal with the error members and ensure that they toe the line and obey the law. Part of the penalties is that a candidate who commits violence on others can also be disqualified from running for that particular seat. We also have accredited women-based and organization, community-based organization that can address some of the issues that I've been talking about a skewed society that is not able to bring on board their vulnerable groups. So that through the community-based organization, voter education can be offered. We also look at production of targeted messages for voter education to address all categories that are marginalized. We also have established a Women Coordination Committee, a Youth Coordination Committee, and Disability and Inclusion Coordination Committee that is at the county level and also at the national level. Ladies and gentlemen, the placement of crucial messages at the appropriate time at the media outlets that addresses the inclusion and the marginalized within the process. I want to say that in the coming election, we are going to establish a situation room within the Election Operations Center to ensure that matters of people who are excluded are looked into when we are conducting elections in this coming election, so that all those matters can be reported to us. Anything that has been done wrongly, it is reported to us, and then because in the situation room we have different duty bearers, we shall ensure that those duty bearers are able to respond to the issues as they are raised. As we look at the coming election, we as IEBC are looking at protecting the rights of every voter, regardless of gender, regardless of situation, and ensuring that the marginalized, including the widows and widowers, are considered wherever they come out to participate in the electoral process, whether as voters, whether as candidates, whether as mobilizers. Our commitment is to ensure that we protect them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to conclude by saying that women inclusion in voting and widowers inclusion in voting and vying as candidates should be anchored upon policies, and that they should be brought into the centrum. You see, when we start coming together like this and focusing, it's when we realize that we need to have that conversation put at the table and at the center, so that representation is there, so that there's a person who is able to articulate the issues of that category. So we'll ensure that every person who is marginalized can freely and confidently participate in election. Kenya strengthen its democratic foundation and advance towards a more inclusive and equitable society, because the most important thing is an equitable society where everybody feels I am a Kenyan and all my rights as provided in the Constitution are protected. Nobody should feel that he's begging to be a Kenyan. You have seen some of our people going outside and they are deported back. Have you seen that? Yeah. But when they arrive there, they are our own. So everybody should feel Kenya is home. This is where we belong. The laws and policies come as me, just like it covers another person. We are all equal before the law. And therefore, we should advocate and do activations around ensuring these groups are actually put on the table, and the table of representation. Ladies and gentlemen, the IEBC continues to commit to electoral inclusion, and we shall remain engaging in guaranteeing that every voice counts and every vote matters. And we shall support those who shall come out and vie and ensure that their rights are not violated. But then to you and SGA, who are advocating for this, you really need to be very intentional to put the issues of widows and widowers at the center of the conversation, even about election, even about policies and manifestos. Look through the manifestos as they are presented by different political parties and political party groupings, and ask what is it that they shall be doing for widows and widowers. Look at their manifestos, because those manifestos will come up. Can you go to this forum where they are presenting those manifestos and we ask intelligent and intentional questions about inclusion, about widows and widowers? Which new policies will they bring? So that when a person is left by a spouse, processing of whatever is left by that spouse becomes very easy. Placement of the children and everybody who is affected in that infrastructure become extremely very easy. How will you rescue widows and widowers when they are facing very tight challenges? How are you able to isolate and ensure that even bursaries are given to those children whose one parent have been left with them, is vulnerable, is taking care of them, is probably unable to go and look for money because there's only one, and then you are able to see that these children still continue with school without discrimination. I want to rest my case there and wish you very good deliberations after this. Thank you so much.